All right, Shalom. I want to start out by giving all praise and glory to you. How about Shema Shah, about Shema Kakodash. Double honors to the apostle and elders of the great millstone. Shalom to all the Akim out there pushing the word in sincerity and in truth. It's the brother Bars all. And I just want to do a lesson on, outwork your demons. Outwork the spirits that are constantly plaguing you or badgering within your mind, pestering, because some brothers, go through certain mental hurdles more than others. Spirits be fucking with brothers, on a daily, making you feel like you not worthy, the spirit of shame, regret, doubt. It's always, spirits come in all kind of shapes and sizes, and they like to tug at where you're weakest or where you feel like you are inadequate at, and wherever you weak at, that's why you strengthen the weak points, and it takes work, and work is action, actually going up, praying, fasting, going out your way, to make sure that you solidifying yourself within this walk, as it is written, and make full proof of thy ministry. What your ministry is your service, which is our reasonable service, as it is written, and if you keep working and you have a high work ethic, a lot of spirits that fuck with you, you're gonna start seeing them pretty much leave you, because like, for instance, if it's a spirit of I'm not doing enough, and I'm not doing enough, which will always feel like it's always more work to be done, because it is always more work to be done. That with that perfectionist mentality, if you feel that way, but if you're constantly putting your best foot forward, you're striving, you're praying, you're fasting, you're detoxing, you're reading, studying, aligning your spirit, you're going to start to see a gradual growth within your character and your spirit, and you're going to see it. You're going to have the same mentality, like, what, I got to do more, but you're not going to have that feeling like, all right, damn, I ain't doing shit. I'm not doing nothing whatsoever. And that's the worst feeling you want to have is that you're not doing things, especially when it's required of you, because this isn't a time for us brothers to be, reclining, taking step backs from our ourselves in this walk. It's the time to be moving forward. The Apostle Paul spoke about pressing towards the mark, which is our high calling. All of us brothers of the hopeful elect, brothers that have been called, we have a high calling into this administration. All right. And we have to work, which I have this precept starting off, to work while it is day. We have the ideal time where we could put in this work and do that which is required of us, And like I said, if brothers, go through certain stuff in their head, and these spirits constantly fucking with you, go on a fast, pray, meditate, do certain things to keep yourself out of that idleness. Because the more that you're going to be idle and not fighting these spirits, because it's a fight. Paul likened this truth unto a fight also. If you're not fighting these spirits, then you're pretty much subjecting yourself and submitting to these spirits, and you make yourself susceptible to these evil spirits to be plaguing you. All right. Just like spirits could jump on you, they can come off for you, and it's a certain way, a tactic, so to speak. It's a method to get spirits off of you. Just like they say, if you have cancer, or if you have some type of stomach virus, if you have some type of flu, if it's something that has invaded your body, you start to research and you find, all right, let me just drink tea. Let me just eat ginger. All right. Ginger tea, or something of that. Oil of oregano, elderberry, whatever. Colloidal silver, and let me take this stuff consistently. Let me sleep. Let me go on a walk. And then you're going to start to see yourself gradually get better, because you're opening up. They'll give you different, tell you different, cayenne pepper, another one. But they'll tell you different ways that you're breaking up, whether the phlegm within the body, or you're destroying the flu that's within you. You're building your immune system so that sickness no longer has a environment to dwell in. All right, then you'll start to see that you gradually get better. So it's the same thing spiritually also. If you're feeling like these spirits is really plaguing your mind, really somewhat getting the best of you, you have to work. You have to do that which is required, And some things can be simple as just sitting back reading, man. As well as fasting, praying. That's why the Apostle Peter spoke about to give diligence, giving diligence to make thy calling and election sure. So this is John 9, and I'll start at verse 4. I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. So Yahushua had the mentality of having great work ethics. And I'm not talking about working in Esau's system. I'm talking about working for the Lord, because this is a form of work. Just like when the spiritual demons Satan tempted Yahushua, and if I'm not mistaken, it's Matthew the 2nd chapter. Just want to make sure. Let's see, Matthew 6. Satan tempted. It's in the early chapters. I can't think of it right up. Oh, 4. Excuse me. Like in Matthew 4, when Yahushua was being tempted of Satan, you see that he worked. He used the spirit of the Lord that was in him. He didn't just sit back idly and allow himself to just be plagued in the mind. He was utilizing the precepts, which I'm saying that in a form of work also. Because to make full use of that which the application of knowledge and wisdom, that's putting in effort. That's action, So Satan, seeing that Yahushua knew the precepts and he applied the precepts rightfully, and he knew how to discern, because Satan tried to tie with the Lord within the knot, where he told him to jump off the cast out in verse 6, and I'm gonna read it. But Yahushua, he still had a way to cut Satan, man. So this is Matthew 4 and 6. I start at verse 5. Then the devil taketh him up into the holy city, and setteth him on a pinnacle of the temple. Verse 6. And saith unto him, If thou be the Son of the Most High, cast thyself down. For it is written, He shall give his angels charge concerning thee, and in their hands they shall bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against a stone. Yahushua said unto him, It is written again, Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy power. See? So the Lord already knew. All right, look. Scripture says don't tempt the Lord thy power. And everything that's written, as when he says as is written, as we know, he was quoting out of the Old Testament. You can find all the precepts that the Lord was speaking of, and you can find it within the scriptures. Even what Satan was speaking about, he shall give his angels charge concerning thee. If I'm not mistaken, that's in Psalms. So that means that the spiritual demon Satan knows precepts too. He knows the scriptures, and he knows how to tempt. He has talking points. And if you're not a learned individual and you don't know how to rightfully divide the word of truth, then you could get caught up within the web of lies and deception. And that's why it's essential for us brothers to work as it is written, working while it is day, because these spirits are working at us, against us. Matter of fact, let me get that in Ephesians. Their job is to tempt, to test us where we're weak, and to try to pull us down, to cast us out of our spiritual, take our crown from us, so to speak, But if we do that which is required, and we check off all the boxes, and we confidently stand within the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai, and we're praying and we're fasting and giving our supplications and doing everything which is required, there's no way for you to fail. Paul, going back to the point of Peter said that. He said it will make it where you become neither unfruitful nor barren. You know, and this is the time where we have to continue to produce fruit, because the devil is gonna come down. Everything is finna get more and more aggressive. So us brothers in the truth, we have to become more aggressive. You know, you see that certain jakes are starting to get caught up in the dumb shit that a lot of these bootleg camps is false doctrines, false teachings about the Gentiles being saved. You know, from taking the bag from Esau. You know, because they're not studying, man. As it is written, study to show thyself approved. These guys aren't showing themselves approved through studying, so they're getting caught. All right, but us brothers, we like Pastor Tahar always brings out, and we went into that the other day. How GMS is a camp of action, bro. You know, brothers. You know, and the few sisters that watch, but we make action. All right, that's the only way to overcome. Like if you going back to like working out, if you gain weight, you get overweight. The only way to lose that fat, you know, it's action. You know, they say go on a caloric deficit as well as exercise, but you'll see the results that the progressive results individuals make from constantly grinding, man. You know, so this is the time for us to stay on our grind, and I'm not talking about the physical, because that goes without being said. You know, if a man doesn't eat, if a man doesn't work, you don't eat. And you know, I had looked on, just type this in with on the internet, going in regards to if you don't work, you don't eat. It says, I just typed in, what happens if a lion doesn't hunt? You know, we're likened unto lions. But it says, if a lion stops hunting, it faces starvation, weakness, and death. And they rely on kills for survival. But sometimes they scavenge or get food from the pride. However, if they're old or exiled males, they often die from hunger or fights as they become too weak for hunt. So this is spiritual on a lot of points, leading to a harsh life and eventually demise from starvation, disease, or being killed by rivals and other predators. Yeah, and we have rivals. We have individuals that prey on our downfall, as the saying goes. You know, and it says the ones that's old and exiled from the pride, you know, they're susceptible. So it's about being that young hunter, man. You know, always hungry, always looking for a new meal. You know, just having, and I'm just saying that as far as just wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, because as it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the living power. You know, some jakes learn a little bit, then they get satisfied, and they stop wanting to put their hands to the meal. It's like, bro, you still malnourished. You know, if you eat a little bit every day and you're not eating that which is required, and you're not getting your body minerals and vitamins, yeah, you're gonna be able to still perform the certain duties, but you're gonna see after a while certain things start to break down within your body, especially if it's going through heavy tests. All right, like if your bones are weak, but you might have to do certain things which is demanded the most out of you. You might see that you might fracture something. Then you're gonna start to see, damn, you know, you might go to the doctor and they're gonna say, yeah, you was very deficient in XYZ. That's why your bones, you know, weren't able to tolerate, you know, said pressures. You know, but if you were to do that which is required and stayed on top of yourself, then your body would have probably been able to withstand the heat, so to speak. You know, and we're in the time where we're going to go through the heat, because all of us brothers are going to be tried by the fire to see what manner of man we is. And it's all about remaining durable, as it is written, he that endureth unto the end, the same shall be saved. So this is Ephesians 6:10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Verse 11, put on the whole armor of the Most High, that ye may stand against the wiles of the devil. Verse 12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Verse 13, wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. Verse 14, stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, Verse 15, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. 16, above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewithal ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. 17, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of the Most High. 18, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints. Yeah, so these are step-by-step points, and it's giving it's like a militarized example of how you should be girded, how you should be fully cloaked, so to speak, so that you can overcome all the fiery darts that are written of the wicked, as it is written, showing that this your enemy is shooting at you, as it is written, this devil will shooteth at the perfect and secret, and you're not going to physically see these darts being shot at you, but you are being shot at. You are constantly being targeted. Us brothers within this truth, we are a target, all right? And it's about dodging, discerning, seeing where the angle of the enemy is coming from to try to take us out, and being on top of our game, being precautious, circumspect, as it is written, because this man is going to come down more and more aggressive, and the ones that think things is a game, they're going to get caught, thinking that this is La La Land and we supposed to be having a fun old time and just having a time of our life. They're going to get caught by the fiery darts of the wicked, because when the fiery darts shoot at them, they're going to get struck, and it's going to be over. But us brothers that's girded, got on our proper attire, ready for the battle, we're going to be able to deflect those blows, and through the Spirit, we're going to be able to pierce and take down the enemy, It's only the ones that's actually making action, that's in the book, and that's living by it through the Spirit and power of the Lord, staying within the prophecies, and staying within the, as it is written, within the apostles' doctrine, and doing that which as it is written. All right. So with that, I'm gonna end by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shema Shai, by Shemar Kakwadash, double honor to the apostle, elders of Great Millstone. Shalom Amaki.